attitude. Ooh, I like that. Ooh, I like that.
Hey guys, just so you know, Sarah censored me for the first time ever, said I can't talk about something, so you're gonna have to ask Sarah what I can't talk about.
Well, and I will say that, but I also want to start with, yes, we are a day and an hour later than we normally are. Primarily, and I want to bring this up, primarily because Brittany and I value our physical and our mental health. So every once in a while, you have to say, look, we need to push it off for a little bit. We need to do some things, right? And we need to make those doctor's appointments a priority. So my first message of this before we get into our topic and the topics we're not going to talk about, and I will say what that is. I want you, if you have not made that doctor's appointment that you've been avoiding, that one that's on your task list, make the doctor's appointment. Okay.
And if you don't have a therapist, go get one.
Yes. If you have not been to therapy ever, start today. Because if you think you don't need it, you do. Everybody does. And so, yes, go do that therapy, go get that medical opinion, and all of those things. Okay. So that being said, we are not at 10:06 on a Thursday going to discuss orgies. So the topic that will not be discussed today is orgies.
Okay,
That's
fine.
what I censored her on.
We won't talk about what I did on my 30th. That's
we
fine.
are not.
But what we are talking about is that we have done this for 31 episodes, and that's pretty phenomenal.
31 episodes of this series. Of this series. I would have to go back and look at every time we've ever went live. We're probably hitting close to, I would say probably close to 100 that we've actually went live.
So last week I had somebody listen in on our show, and the feedback on the business knowledge that was in here in the conversation that we had, and just being able to listen in on the tidbits that we have, they loved that expertise. They loved being able to hear our passion, and they loved being able to hear our knowledge base, right? Which leads kind of into our conversation of when you do a job or when you are working, you're given titles and you also have experience, and they might not always be on the same level. Your title and your experience might vary. And so it's really important for people to look at other people and understand where are they coming from, what is their experience, and what are they supposed to accomplish. Are they accomplishing more, less? Are they needing help? Are they helping others? Where are they taking what they're doing, right? And how are they doing it? And I think that's a huge thing when we look at how we approach other businesses, how we approach who we hire to help us, is that title and that experience. Because the VA might have the experience of a CEO, but they might be doing a VA's job right now. So those are all things to take into consideration.
Well, and I think the first place that I want to go with this is understanding your own experience and understanding the experience of people that you're hiring. And let me explain. So two things happened in the last couple of weeks that kind of fill into this. One, I was having a conversation with somebody, and if you don't know all of my experience and you're watching this, it would take too long to explain that, how it got here. But I think you'll understand what I'm saying. I was talking to somebody and they were like, yada, 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 my website sucks. And I'm like, well, let's set up a time and let's figure it out, right? Like, I'm sure we can figure out making it better and making some changes. And they're like, no, I need somebody that knows how to build websites. And I'm like, yep, that's what I just offered, right? Like, I am not a pro by any shape of the imagination, but I can build a website and I can make updates to your website. And it took me a minute, and I'm sitting here thinking, like, why am I begging you to let me do something for free? Right? And I had to like take those 5 steps back. This person didn't want to know about my experience. They put me in a box, right? And if I try to get out of that box, they're going to put me back into it, right? Because they think because I have a title of, I hate to use the word low level because that's not what I mean. It's more of a entry level title at the current job I'm in. Okay. They think that that's the box I live in. And I'm like, no, you're just paying me this week, right? Like that's all this is. And I think if we look at people's experiences and we look at their actual resume, allow them to do the job that they're in, but then say, hey, do you want extra experience? Do you want to utilize the experience you have? Do you want to do more than you're doing? Right? And I think we forget about that. What are your thoughts on that?
I think that we tend to, and so it's hard for me to say we, right? Because the 2 people on this call definitely don't have this problem.
I think when we say we or you, it's the general we and you. I think we can.
But one of the things that you notice when you're walking into an office or you're walking into a space is
I saw the tag on the bottom of my cup. Sorry, that's just weird. I just realized like I'm drinking and I still have a tag on it. Go ahead.
That's a grandma cup with a tag on it, so I know it came from the thrift shop.
Yeah,
I like
probably.
it. I love the cup. I think
we do a lot of
brand.
thrifting. So anyways, go ahead.
But when you have different titles and different expectations, it tends to get a little murky because you think that people are hired at their max level, right?
Well, we never are.
No, nobody's ever hired at their max level. They're never hired at their max potential. We all have room to grow, and the only way that you can do that is by being supportive and by being a team, right? Play as a team because all the players support each other, and you can't get a project done without everybody pitching in their expertise. But also, like you said, hey, I just looked at the website that you started to build and I noticed X, Y, and Z. Can we relook at that? Because I think that's something that people don't like anymore. Or I think that's something that was used in the 90s when we all did all of our things. And maybe we should have, a little bit more updated stuff. And so whether or not you're the web designer, but you're giving the web designer some feedback on marketing, right?
Mm-hmm.
On presentation, your expertise could be that you're at home building websites for $1 million companies. And in this project, you're the person who's just focused on what is the verbiage.
Yes. And I want the flip side of all of this is where we're talking like, look at the experience of somebody, and even if they don't have that title, make sure that you understand what their past experience is, and you never know what they can bring to your situation, right? But on the flip side of that is recently, it's now been 2 people that I know have literally said to multiple people, they've said this to, that's not my job. Right? And we talked a little bit about this before we got on the call. There's a difference between, hey, I'm coming into the office and I have 3 meetings and I have 14 things I have to get done, and I'm just coming in to do those. I'm coming in for 4 hours. I'm not doing anything else. I have this project work I need to do. This is my job, right? I'm not helping anybody else. You can say like, I have time. But if your whole attitude going into a job, and I'm saying your whole job is, I'm never helping anyone else, I'm never going to give somebody some advice that they ask for, I'm not going to help clean up a mess, right? Do you know how many, I worked in disasters for a very long time. Do you know how many times I mopped a floor when it wasn't my job? I mean, like things happen, right? And I think we talked a little bit about that before we got on here.
And I think with what you're saying, it's really important to also look at what are those people in those job titles doing, right?
Yeah.
Because you'll catch that there are people who come into work and they have their job title and they're excelling at their job title, and then they're doing side projects to help different people, right?
Sure.
They're pulling in and they're doing assistance. But then you have people who come in and they do what's written. This is my job. This is what's written. This is what I'm here for. And this is my box that I sit in. And there isn't a problem. And Sarah, you and I have talked about this. There's not a problem with the person who checks all the boxes versus the person who does the extra, right? But what ends up happening is the people who check the boxes, that's their expertise, that's their comfort, that's where they've walked in, or their pay level, right?
Sure.
If I'm walking into something and I'm paid at a level to do a level of work, then that's where I need to be. That's what I need to do. And if I can help, I'm going to help, but I'm not getting paid to build a web page. I'm getting paid to do this.
I'm not being paid to be a manager. I'm not being paid to,
Yeah.
and I see that, right? But I think no, I shouldn't say I think. You and I are on the same page. But what I'm trying to get at is, if your whole attitude going into a job, and you and I both work with these people, where they're like, this is my box and I'm not doing anything outside of it, you're not going to grow and be successful, right? You'll get that job done. You'll get your 3% raise every year. Yay for you. I don't know. But if you actually want to succeed and grow and build yourself to get a better job, right? Or a promotion in the current job, whatever, you have to do a little bit above your job description. Can we agree to that?
Yeah.
And again, this isn't about tasks. Like, if your job, like, let's go with, you are a line worker, right? Your job is to put widget A into widget B and send it down the line. There's only so much you can do outside of put widget A into widget B and send it down the line. But there is still something you can do. You can be nice to the people next to you, right? You can make sure that you break down boxes when the line goes down. There's things you can do that are just a little bit extra, even in kind of those mundane jobs.
Feedback, right? You can say, hey, when I'm doing
sure.
Y to A, then B has these issues. Or if we, if this isn't working correctly, then we're all stalled. So how can we prevent this? This tends to be something that's happening more and more, or I'm recognizing this pattern. And that's what's taking you from I work at a job to I work with a team to I work inside of a company that I am proud of working for, right? But also it allows you to be comfortable when you go to work. So an example, I am crazy and I like to have organization. So I happen to unload a truck for a store, and when I'm unloading it, I'm organizing. And I literally had probably worked at that location for 2 weeks, and I started unloading the truck and started putting box dividers into different spaces so that these things could stay separated. It doesn't mean that other people are bad because they didn't have organization in place prior. It doesn't mean that there was time for other people to have organization in place, right? When you're understaffed or you're in different situations, it just means it wasn't done.
Sure. And I'm going to use your situation though, because what probably happened is at some point in time, there was somebody that had similar skill sets to you. And they put in place a few organizational tools, tips, tricks, processes, policies, name it however you want. And then that person leaves, right? And we now have 6 people working over the course of a day that really had no clue what Susie was doing. Susie just kept the shelves clean, right? And now we have 5, 6 people that had no idea what Susie was doing. And now the shelves get crazy. And X amount of time later, a Brittany comes in and takes over Susie's organizational OCD. And yes, I did say that. She is not crazy, but she does have organizational OCD. Probably not diagnosed yet. We'll see how long that takes. But then you'll be there for X amount of time. And it'll be another cycle because Susie left, Brittany will leave, craziness will ensue, and you'll find unorganized again. But having zero processes and policies makes things even worse because there isn't even, I'm assuming you walked in and there was no manual for where to put stuff on shelves.
Right. There was not, I mean, you have the location of where stuff is and you have the proximity of where things are. But also, you know, when you run understaffed or you run to where everybody's exhausted, it's really hard to maintain and manage that. But on the flip side of that, once you get to the, okay, these are the things that this one person's doing, then you have other people who start to feel a threat. And at times, that person's not doing those things maliciously. That person's not doing those things inside of a space of, I want your job. They're doing those things, for me personally, doing it because I don't want to walk in and try to find stuff. I want to know right where it is. I just want to know where it is. And so for me, when I train somebody to do my position, I train them, what are the check boxes? What are the tips and the tricks for you to manage this position? I've never once taught them that they need to organize or, you know, these are the areas you need to clean. These are the areas that you need to keep at a company level, but this is what you do. Now, inside of my 8-hour shift, I accomplish things that are definitely other titles, but those other titles are overwhelmed with understaffing. Those other titles are overwhelmed with corporate jargon and requirements. And so when you can be a little fish in a big pond, you can do what you want. But it threatens other people at times because they're seeing that there is things getting done. And instead of just accepting it as teamwork and acceptance, they're looking at, oh, well, my job's being threatened, or, oh, this. And so that's kind of why Sarah and I wanted to talk about this title, this, you know, what's my title? What's my knowledge? Because when you can hire somebody who has experience outside of that position, they're going to bring more to what you're doing. If somebody could be the manager of a store and they just want to be a sales rep because they want to make a little extra money, and we talked about that when you get hired, sometimes you can't get a job if you have a bachelor's degree. You can't get a job over here because they think you're just going to go to the next thing instead of looking at where do you want to be in life today. And so when you're looking at those things, we were talking about the CEO taking out the trash. That's amazing. If the CEO has time to help take out the trash one day, phenomenal. But also, if the CEO doesn't know the policy of where the trash goes, you can't be like, oh, well, he never helps me, right?
Yes. And I think that it's a little bit off topic, but I'm going off of what you just said because I know for a fact that it is hard for some people to get jobs in this job market for a weird reason. Okay, there's all the normal reasons, right? We have a low job rate. We have, you know, lots of people getting laid off. We have a million reasons why it's hard to get a job. But actually high experienced people who want to just have a job, right? They want to work at the grocery store. They want to work at the mall. They want to work, you know what I'm saying? It's hard to get that job because they are looking at you like, why would you stay here? We don't want to hire you because you're just going to leave when you find a job that fits your skill set. And I'm lucky. I did not have that happen to me in my current role because I actually have way more experience than the role I'm doing. Okay. But I'm doing that role because I'm in school and I have a reason and somebody listened to me for that reason. So when you have somebody that has a lot of experience and they apply to a role, interview them and ask them why. Right? Maybe it's a person that has that bachelor's degree that has said, well, because of the job market and because my kids are still in school, I just want to work part-time. So I'm going to be doing that for the next 5 to 6 years. Do you really think you're going to hire anybody else that's going to stay 5 to 6 years in this role? Probably not. Right? So when you have that reason behind it, it's actually better to hire that person that has that extra experience, that extra knowledge, that extra gumption in order to do that role and not completely screen them out because they have a higher education or they had a VP job before or they were a store manager before and now they don't want to be that.
Yeah. And I think it's important, even when you're looking at hiring somebody who might not fully have the experience.
Oh, sure. The opposite side too. Yeah.
Yeah, because when you look at somebody who has experience in a different path, it could be a path that actually supports that job in ways that you never understood. So maybe you have somebody shifting from one department to the next department because they might have seen how that excites them in a different way and how they envision that differently. And it really turns into that conversation, right, where we talk about that title versus experience. Maybe I experience this job differently. Maybe I have a different experience in my past or these things. But there's a lot of different ways to look at that and to see where we're pulling our experience, where we want to be in our positioning of said workforce. But I think no matter what we look at, that teamwork and that team effort is important, even as entrepreneurs. Sarah, you have somebody who is sitting across from you most of the days supporting you and giving you.
Yeah. Maybe he brought milk and cookies downstairs for himself, not for me. So I'm just telling you, I don't know if this team thing is working as well as you say it is, but go on with your example.
Well, I wasn't talking about.
Okay. Good.
Well, fine. Here, what about the other team member that hangs out on the couch all day?
Oh, she's a very good team member. She makes sure I get a nap every day.
Exactly.
15-minute nap in the afternoon, little siesta.
She's the best one. She just sits there and she nods and agrees.
We are making jokes here, but yes, even as a solopreneur, right? I have my partner, I have people out in my virtual world, right? Excuse me, that are always there to run that question by, right? To look over something before I send it out. Even if they can't necessarily help me take out the garbage, which would be interesting. But there's always things that a team can help with.
I just learned about a robot lawnmower. I didn't know those existed.
Yes.
And they exist. So I could figure out a way to robot your trash can to the trash can.
So we're going to go off on a tangent here really quick. So Chicago started doing those little robot deliveries, like the DoorDash delivery robot things, your food goes in them. Well, this was probably, I don't know, a month or two ago. They realized that they didn't program them correctly. All of the bus terminal things where people sit and wait for the bus are glass. And so the thing just would run through the glass and smash the glass. It didn't see the glass. Second, we started, so I don't know what they're doing with those. But this week, apparently, the self-driving cars, I don't know if they'll work here because I don't even know how you engage for this, but they don't know how to tell a road is flooded. So, and somebody was in a car and rode through a flooded street and they were like, floating away. They're fine, just so you know, but yeah.
That's interesting. But I mean, since I moved here to Louisiana, I have seen like a flooded road, and sometimes you don't know unless it's just the road that you drive on every day,
Correct. Right.
right?
But how does a
So that is,
self-driving car know that it's flooded? Like it's
yeah.
like
By the time
it,
the tire, like, yeah, like there's hydroplane. That also, you know, how does it know it's hydroplaning?
right. Yeah, it could be
Yeah.
a very little bit of water, but how would it know, right? Like it doesn't. So things to see, this is why these are scenarios that it's going to be a while before AI truly takes over, because we need to figure out this type of stupid stuff before, you
Yeah.
know.
Exactly. And I think, but I think that just leads to that level of expertise we'll always have to watch over and always have to
Yeah.
be around, right? So the bottom line of what today really kind of equated to is really be aware of your surroundings, be appreciative of what the people around you know and and the knowledge base that they're bringing,
Yeah.
and really work as a team to grow and build and create a community around your business, around your job, a space where when you go to work, if you have OCD, then you're doing the cleaning up, but you also understand that other people don't have that. That other
Right.
people can keep stuff where the bins are, but they might not be able to keep the bins organized, right? So understand that just because you can accomplish a little bit more than the team can accomplish, it's not because they couldn't accomplish it, it's because they don't see it the way you see it. It's because they see it in different ways.
You've had two jobs that I know of, your current one and a past one that had this, and it's happened a lot for me. You walk into a job and you're like, well, how do I do that? Well, and somebody wants to verbally tell you, and you're like, okay, I get every single word that went out of your mouth 100%. I speak English, you speak English, we are good. However, I don't learn verbally, right?
Yeah.
I have to read it. I need to follow a process like 2 or 3 times, and then I got it ingrained, right? So you went through this in a previous position where you're like, wait, you have no manual on how to make all the things you make? Well, we're going to put something together that I can just flip to a page and make something, right?
Mm-hmm.
And in your current role, I don't know if this will work out, but at some point in time, there needs to be a checklist of this is where stuff goes, right? And if there's a checklist, people are more apt to follow the checklist,
Yeah.
right? Versus just learn and hope and pray that it gets done right. So yeah, I think that's just something to think about as we
Yeah,
move
I
ahead.
love it. And I think that that leads into that space of what can you bring to the table and how do you make it different?
Right,
Right.
because if you have a really great idea of how to organize something, you can have the greatest idea in the world, but until you actually do it and put it into writing and allow other people to do it with you, you're not going to change the situation you're in. You're not going to all of a sudden be like, here, let me lick you. Like you now have OCD. I don't know. Like it doesn't work like that, right? Like I wish it,
Right. Well,
but
and also where I currently work, I can walk in and I can say, okay, this is where these certain things go. Let's organize these certain things. But I've
you have 3
worked
shifts.
in, right. But I've also worked in, yeah, I know. But I've also worked in like a doctor's office. You can't walk into that doctor's office and be like, oh, this is where you put your things. We're going to rearrange.
I'm
You
gonna
have
color code this all differently. I don't like. Okay, that would be hilarious though. Like for
but
like a week, you would give the office manager a coronary. Like it would be the greatest week ever. Go ahead.
But to Sarah's point, if you're able to say, hey, this is what you're currently doing, here's a write up of what I think is more OSHA friendly, more blah, blah, blah. Like, if you can list the reasons that you are not going to get sued because they are following you and not their situation,
Right.
then you might get away with what you want. But you're going to have to come with the experience written on paper and the whys and the, hey, you're going to get in trouble for having this, as opposed to, hey, I do the truck and this is stupid. There's two different ways. You have to approach it the correct way. Or if you do change things and then you go around and you're like, oh, I made all of these changes. Aren't you so excited? That could look different too.
Yes.
So
yes. All right, we are at 30 minutes and
I'm hungry. I'm tired.
I'm it's already 10:30. It's only 10:30, I should say, and I'm already ready for a nap. My name is Sarah. I'm with Off the Beaten Path Consulting, and you can check out my website. I will put it somewhere. You can find it. Brittany, who are you?
I am Brittany. I am with BizStorming, and I am super excited to be able to hang out with Sarah all the time.
All right, check us out next week for 32.
32. We're going to catch up to how old we are.
Yeah, we're not going to do that.
Okay.
We're not going to, I mean, we will, but we're not going to tell people how old we are. They have to like figure it out.
Right.
We're not going to announce it on that call. So.
Oh, my son is getting his own apartment in like 2 months.
Oh, okay. So we finally have a plan. I know he was doing a plan and having some sort of plan, but I didn't know we had informed everybody of the plan.
Yeah, there will be. I will be sending out a first apartment Amazon wish list.
Okay. I'm just saying, because you now just announced it on a live video that apparently no one's watching, but they could. So as long as everybody knows this is happening, then we're good.
I just figured it would help with the guessing of how old we are.
Oh, no, that doesn't work for me.
Yeah, that doesn't work for you at all.
So, yeah. So my oldest is 34.
Yeah.
So figure out that math, and then we'll go from there. Okay. Oh yeah, I'm ending. Have a good week, everyone.
Dance party.
1 2 1 2, need my attitude. 3 4 3 4, check my latitude.
Ooh, I like that.